Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my lush oasis out here in Houston, Texas. It's your host with the most, Paul Plant 2, and today we are doing a backyard tropical jungle makeover, including a ton of really cool native plants as well that y'all may have not seen. But before we get started, always remember, Earth is my planet.
Earth is my planet.
So yes, it has been a minute since we stepped back into what is a jungle in its infancy stage, and I have purchased a lot of cool plants to throw in. I have a ton of volunteer trees that are popping up in this urban backyard jungle in Zone 9, and some things I'm gonna have to remove, others I'm going to keep, some things I'm going to transplant, but overall I just want to show you guys the journey and the process, because this area used to be nothing but a plain Jane lawn, and that's it. And we're already getting pretty lush in like year 3.5. Okay, class, so the first plant we're throwing in today is this native leatherwood. Now this is a tree, a small tree at that loves wet feet. So I'm gonna plant it on the back area of my garden in between these elephant ears that I have going on right here. And eventually, as always, my objective is to seclude this backyard from all of the neighboring properties. So I think this native leatherwood will be a perfect piece. Perfect. The leaves look really cool. This is deciduous unless it is like super warm, and it has amazing white flowers. So I think overall, this objective will be fulfilled in this area in particular because it receives a lot of moisture when it rains. Now, as y'all might be able to see, we had a casualty in this area. One of my plum trees died, so I'm gonna take it out and we'll have this potentially take its place, but a little bit closer to the edge of the bed. Well, let's get that plum out of here. Yeah. So the hurricane blew this over and I think took it out. All right, here goes nothing muffin. We're throwing in the leatherwood, baby. The swamp TT, it loves part shade, high organic matter in the soil, and this spot definitely qualifies. Just look at it. So there we have it. Cyrilla racemiflora is in the ground. Hopefully it takes off in this area. So the next native plant is super sweet. This is an ash magnolia, which is native to Florida, but it should grow well in this area. It is a Magnolia ashii. And as y'all can see, it has massive leaves, which will give a tropical feel, and it still is a native plant, so it will benefit all the wildlife that has evolved in this area of the United States for millions and millions of years. And that's why we do this, to have interesting plants, a cool garden, and ultimately benefit nature. And if I can motivate you guys to throw in a really cool ash magnolia, I will. Now this one may have some slight issues because the leaves are super like lime slime colored and not as deep of a green as I would like, so it might be overwatered from the nursery or I don't know what. I did get the native plants at Buchanan's Native Plants in Houston, and I try and grab stuff that's more unique that I don't see all that often. And this is one of those part shade or part sun, I guess, trees. So I'm gonna plant it right in front of this mulberry tree I have. I'm honestly running out of space for trees, but we're just gonna compact them as closely as possible and see how things turn out. Now this is more of a slow grower, so I think it'll look cool in the front of this bed just with the massive leaves until it does reach maturity. So this area already looks kind of sweet with the elephant ears, the yucca and whatnot, and I think the ash will just further enhance it. Now this ash tree will get up to 35 feet tall, and it only is truly native to Florida. It can grow in part shade, and that's why I'm chunking it in. All right, let's get it in. I hope you do well here. Now this magnolia tree loves rich soil, and this area most assuredly qualifies. I've been composting for 3+ years in these garden beds along the fence line, and this dude is a slow grower, but trust me, when it flowers, it becomes a shower. Yeah. So Mr. Ashy is in the ground, and we also do have some really cool wine cups that are popping up next to it. There's just a dynamic area of the garden. My pup is chilling there in the shade, so I'm just very curious to see how it continues to develop. So next up on the list, we got something for the food forest that I am developing. Of course, I want to throw in a bunch of edible crops and native plants and just cool trees overall. And one is this Arctic Frost Satsuma. So this is the most cold hardy citrus species that I have came across at the local Lowe's. Obviously I could surge high and low for some other cold hardy species, but I do think the Arctic frost will do really well, especially on the edge of this bed where it will receive more sunlight. So that is going to be the mission for this dude. It is evergreen as well, so it'll be a nice screen. And of course, if you want things to look tropical, it is nice to have more evergreen plants. So I am going to throw it in the mix of these native fall obedient plants, which have been spreading like no one's business. I actually will probably dig a big chunk of these up and relocate them to the front yard as well. And now this is all really good stuff that I can transplant in the front yard, so I'm gonna save it for that. And those flowers were Carolina Ruellias. So we also have the fall obedient plants, which I am gonna transplant in the front yard as well. So a nice little grab bag. Holes dug. Let's get this guy in. Now when it comes to citrus, I don't even amend my soil whatsoever. I just chunk it in because the roots have to acclimate to this area for this tree to thrive and survive. So I dug a giant hole, placed it in there, and of course added some compost on top. And look how luscious this satsuma is. My dear God. So that's all good, but now it's time to transplant the fall obedient plants in the Carolina Ruellias in the front yard. And this is how we continue to spread the wealth of having amazing native plants both in the back and front. And it's something different that none of my neighbors have, so it's kind of cool too. So this area has always been a bit of a no man's land in the garden. I have my Mystic Spire salvia on point in the front, but behind it, not much will grow. So I'm gonna throw in the fall obedient plant and Carolina Ruellia right here because it's in a very similar location in the backyard. Granted, it gets a bit more water back there, but we'll just see how it does. So this area has a lot of roots of my southern magnolia, and so it gets more dry. It also has the west facing sun, which hits the area with intense heat and light exposure. So this truly will be a test to see how resilient these plants are considering the circumstance at hand. Okay, now the Ruellia we're gonna throw right here because it forms a nice ground cover. This area does get a little bit of sun, and I want it to look lush and green in this bed so I don't have to mulch it quite as much in the future. Also, you can step all over that and it's fine. Now, Ruellia carolinensis can grow from New Jersey down to Florida. It has really cool purple flowers, and it likes moist soil that can dry out quickly. It can tolerate sandy soil as well. So I hope it spreads and takes off in this open woodland environment. Now, while we're in the front, there's some plants that have self-seeded and spread in these garden beds that I would love to move to the back. And those are the Turk's Cap. Now we have some of my established Turk's Cap, and they have reseeded readily in this garden bed, and this is one of my favorite plants for a shade garden. It grows its own 7 to 10 that is from Central Texas all the way down to Cuba, and right now I dug up a couple of small pups. So there we have 2 plants. I'm gonna have to cut them and shorten them so there's not too much stress on these small root systems that I did just kind of maliciously hack. And this is the brilliance of an established garden. It just keeps giving free plants. Look at that clean extraction. So this area is crazy with a bunch of plants, and I want to put 2 of the hibiscus in this area, and hopefully one of them does take off. So this one I'm gonna shorten as well so there's not as much stress on this small specimen. Here goes one of the plants. Now when you dig up a small plant and potentially damage its root system, like I said, you want to clip the top so that way there's not too much foliage for the current root system, and water it in until it establishes well. That's a couple times a week, baby, and then it's good to go. So the last plant we're throwing in today is a titan of the yard, or will be a titan of the yard. And here it is, a golden nugget Loquat. Beautiful leaves. The leaves actually are a little bit rough and soft simultaneously. Nice little saw edges, very cool. And this is another one I am gonna put right behind my pond that I've built. So I have another one of those Arctic frost satsumas in the front, and then behind it, right over yonder, I wanna throw in the Loquat. And the reason being is because I think a tree growing right up in this area as a nice understory below this oak will look very, very cool. It's evergreen, so when you step outside, you're always gonna be met with some nice foliage. So I think this is gonna be the target area, as I mentioned, on the back side of the pond. Now I had the motivation to purchase a Loquat and place it in this area because they performed really well in a part shade understory at the Houston Zoo. However, digging this hole was an actual nightmare. So there used to be a swimming pool in the backyard. And I don't know if there's a jacuzzi right here or what, but there's like solid concrete 8 inches down. So it might be crushed rock, it might be collapsed pool wall. But I'm just gonna throw the Loquat right here and surround it with dirt and let the roots take off as far as they want to. We'll just see what happens, man.
You're silly.
I'm silly?
Yeah.
Let's see if it works. So I placed the tree in the hole and it only went 3/4 of the way down. So because it's kind of above the soil surface, I'm gonna surround it with broken concrete and then put sediment inside of that. That's the strategy. So guys, this is my secret sauce. If you're trying to plant a large tree where you need to dig a big hole and you just can't because of tree roots or other things in the way, other obstacles, just place it above soil, build around it, and mound it up. The roots will find a way around any obstruction. Trust me, this has worked multiple times. Now that we have a nice little circle around the tree, we're gonna fill it in with dirt. So this is my half broken down compost bin, and then I just threw a whole bag of compost on top of it. Why not? Compost. And then to make things look maybe a little bit more natural, we'll throw in a smooth stone on the outskirts right here. So there is my Loquat. I've seen these produce fruit in part shade, so I really have high hopes for this young buck. So there it is. We have the Loquat tree in the ground, and this is why I love having random pieces of broken concrete on hand. Hopefully it does well. This is basically like a planter, but its roots can spread and will spread downward and find any crack and crevasse to reach some nutritious, fertile soil. So I think overall it looks really lush in this area, and I am creating one heck of an island of vegetation around this pond. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, smash the like button. Until next time, remember, Earth is my planet.
Earth is my planet.
And I will see y'all very soon. Peace.
Killing these songs, leaving a bloody life I rooster. And I'm in it to win it, so I'm somebody that you should get used to.